Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, it is Friday, September the 25th, and it is 9:56 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everyone is doing well today, and we are going to get right into the news. I know I have too much news, more than I can cover tonight, but I'm going to give it the old college try. All right, well, let's jump into it now, and before we get started, I do have a couple people to thank. They sent me something via snail mail, which is always so much fun for me. Anyway, Judith V. from Cheektowaga, New York, she sent a lovely letter, and thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Patricia A. from Anderson, Missouri, she sent a literary book, which I will enjoy because I love to have reference books. And thank you very much. I will put that in my library and enjoy it. So thank you, guys. And she also sent a letter. So thank you very, very much. And we are also, I just want to remind you that those of you that support me via Patreon, there is an alternate way to support this channel if you wish. And it is Ko-fi. The details are in the description as always. And the thing with Ko-fi is they do not retain even 1 cent. If you send $3, $5, $10, $20, whatever you send, that is exactly the amount that reaches me. So it's good that way. And as well, they don't support Black Lives Matter, which is another consideration because Patreon does. And I have an issue with that, as probably some of you do as well. Now, I will continue using Patreon for the time being until everybody gets switched over, those that do. And if there are still people at that point that want to hang on with Patreon, I will just keep that. So anyway, thank you guys very much. And let's get into the news. All right, let's just start. I've got a bunch of stuff and it kind of runs the gamut. So let's just jump in at the first one, because, you know, start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start. All right, well, Breonna Taylor protests, suspect in Louisville cop shooting facing assault charges as officers ID'd 127 arrested. Now, that is good news that they are arresting people. Now, hopefully, they're not going to just let them out again. To do and pay off their fines and what have you. Anyway, one officer was released from the hospital. The second is out of surgery and is expected to recover. That is very good news. The suspect, accused of shooting 2 Louisville police officers during Breonna Taylor demonstrations Wednesday night, faces assault and wanton endangerment charges, authorities revealed Thursday as they announced one officer was released from the hospital and the second is out of surgery and expected to recover. Lorenzo Johnson, 26, was charged with 2 counts of assault in the first degree and 14 counts of wanton endangerment in connection with the shooting of police officers. Louisville Metro Interim Police Chief Robert Schroeder said at a press conference Thursday, the investigation is ongoing. He is expected to be arraigned on Friday. LMPD Major Aubrey Gregory, who is white, was treated and released from University Hospital with a leg wound after being shot beneath his hip. Officer Robinson Desroches, who is black, was struck in the abdomen and is in stable condition after undergoing significant surgery and is expected to recover. LMPD also released 2 photos of the officers wounded. Schroeder said police made 127 protest-related arrests across the city, including in the Highland and downtown overnight amid the demonstrations following the grand jury decision to charge only 1 officer in connection to the police operation that killed Taylor, but not her death. There were also at least 16 instances of looting across the city. So these are the 2 officers that were shot, 1 black, 1 white, both expected to survive, which is very good news. Very good news indeed. I want to emphasize how grateful I am for LMPD, the men and women literally putting their lives on the line to protect our people and protect our city, Mayor Greg Fisher said at the press conference. What we saw last night with 2 police officers being shot is obviously completely unacceptable. Violence will only be a source of pain, not a cure for pain. We know violence is never the answer. Public safety and the work for racial justice and equality can and must coexist, he said. Shots rang out when Louisville police officers were conducting crowd control operations at Broadway and Brook Street in response to a large crowd that had set fires, caused property damage, and failed to disperse after being warned, according to the post-arrest complaint provided by the Jefferson County Clerk Office. Johnson intentionally used a handgun to fire multiple bullets at officers. Addressing the crowd, the complaint said 2 officers were struck by bullets, causing serious physical injury. Police said witnesses spotted Johnson firing a handgun at officers and running from the scene. The complaint said that he was also in possession of a handgun at the time of his arrest, and law enforcement recovered video of the shooting showing the suspect fire at officers. Well, they got the right guy, didn't they? Imagine just going there to shoot at police officers who are trying to keep the city safe. All right. In addition, the officers who sustained gunshot wounds, a police sergeant was injured after being struck by a protester's baton. Another sergeant suffered a knee injury while arresting a resisting individual, and an officer was exposed to blood and spit after a subject spit on him during the protest, Schroeder said. There were several instances of damage to property, including business along Bardstown Road. The moving of barricades restricted traffic and damage to public works vehicle blocking a roadway. Due to the fire set outside the federal courthouse and along Jefferson Square Park, Schroeder said police declared an unlawful assembly just after 8 p.m. prior to the curfew taking place and made several announcements to disperse prior to moving in to clear the area. Fisher said the curfew from 9 a.m. till 6:30 a.m. will remain in effect a second night from late Thursday until early Friday, and it sounds like that's a good idea. The shooting happened about a half hour before curfew went into effect. FBI Louisville said the shooting occurred amid First Amendment protected peaceful demonstrations and urged anyone with videos or photos of the incident to provide them using an online submission form on the agency's website. All right, so I'm not going to get more into this at all. I think, the main part for me was the idea about, the story about the 2 cops being shot. Also, the fact that they are expected to recover and 127 others are arrested. So somebody there is doing their job by arresting these people for sure. All right, and let's go on. Let's look at this. Yeah, this is very, very interesting, and I wanted to play it. Normally, I would not play something like this, but I think it's very, very pertinent, and it is so applicable to what we're facing right now. So that's what I'm going to make this bigger for my tiny phone people. It is a bit blurry. I can't do anything about that, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it.
Told you for days in advance that if the university sought to go ahead with that construction, they were going to physically destroy the university. Why did you
negotiate many times?
Negotiate? What is to negotiate? What is...
The university is a public institution.
That's right. But the university...
its own community and for the community of Berkeley that live around it.
All of it began the first time some of you who know better and are old enough to know better let young people think that they had the right to choose the laws they would obey as long as they were doing it in the name of social protest.
I'm sick and tired of the argument about whether some effort to enforce law and order is going to escalate anything at all. Plain truth of the matter is this has to stop, and it has to stop like the day before yesterday.
I would like to propose that the issue is that on the campuses, you who are adults, you who are entrusted with those young people and their guidance, have a responsibility to make it plain to them from the very beginning that you yourselves do not tolerate the kind of conduct that has led to the burning of Wheeler Hall, that has led to 2 murders on the campus of UCLA.
You created an atmosphere on campus where no one wants to listen. No,
you are a liar.
I have read and I have been questioned since I've been here about certain demonstrations against my coming. And I would like to say just one thing, and to those who demonstrate so. I wonder if they have ever asked themselves that if they should have the kind of government they apparently seek, no one would ever be able to do what they're doing again.
That's right. Now, that is so well said. It's true, and it's applicable to today, because if all these rioters and protesters and so forth, social justice warriors, if they really want what they're protesting for, they will never have the right to protest again. But they don't think about that, do they? No. So I thought that was just one of those things that you had to hear. All right, and Rudy Giuliani says, breaking, FBI reports military mail-in ballots were discarded in Pennsylvania, all cast for Donald Trump. I know. You're probably going, no way. Yeah. No, you're not saying that at all, because without them even telling us that, we already knew that, right? That they were for Donald Trump. Of course, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be discarded, would they? So all these discarded Pennsylvania ballots were cast for Donald Trump. It's voter fraud is an epidemic in the Democrat Party. Well, yes, because that's the only way they can win. And they don't like to play by the rules. It's one rule for them and another for everyone else. Rules for thee, but not for me. That's what they abide by. Anyway, it's up to Americans to restore integrity in our election process. And that is so true, because if we can't trust our elections, we can't trust anything. And I don't think we've been able to trust our elections for a very long time, if you ask me. I think there's been cheating going on all along. And I think that is why Hillary is just so gobsmacked about not winning. Still not over it. Yeah, because they were cheating. But even a rigged election, she couldn't win. So what does that say? It tells you how much America really, really, really dislikes Hillary. All right, now let's get into this. All right, says Trump was right. Well, isn't he usually? Trump was right. Explosive new FBI texts detail internal furor over handling of Crossfire hurricane investigation. Newly disclosed internal FBI notes and text messages detail the extent of the FBI's desire to take down Trump and his associates at any cost. Federal Bureau of Investigation agents tasked by fired former Director James Comey to take down Donald Trump during and after the 2016 election were so concerned about the agency's potential illegal behavior that they purchased liability insurance to protect themselves less than 2 weeks before Trump was inaugurated president. Previously hidden FBI text messages show. The explosive new communications and internal FBI notes were disclosed in federal court filings today from Sidney Powell, the attorney who heads Michael Flynn's legal defense team. We all went and purchased professional liability insurance, one agent texted. On January 10th, 2017, the same day, CNN leaked details that then President-elect Trump had been briefed by Comey about the bogus Christopher Steele dossier. That briefing of Trump was used as a pretext to legitimize the debunked dossier, which was funded by the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign and compiled by a foreign foreign intelligence officer who is working for a sanctioned Russian oligarch. Holy crap, an agent responded. All the analysts too? Yep, the first agent said. All the folks at the agency as well. Can I ask who are the most likely litigators? An agent responded. As far as potentially suing y'all? Who knows? I think the concern when we got it was that there was a big leak at DOJ and the New York Times, among others, were going to do a piece, the first agent said. While the names of the agents responsible for the texts are redacted, the legal filing from Powell, quoting communications from the Department of Justice, states that the latest document production, including handwritten notes and texts from Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Lisa Page, and FBI analysts who worked on the FBI's investigation of Flynn. Agents also said they were worried about how a new Attorney General might view the actions taken against Trump during the investigation. Shortly then after, Senator Jeff Sessions was confirmed to be Trump's new Attorney General. Congressional Democrats, media, and Obama holdovers within DOJ immediately moved to force Sessions to recuse himself from overseeing the department's investigations against Trump. The new AG might have had some questions, then yada, yada, yada. We all get screwed, one agent wrote. The FBI agents also discussed how the investigation's leadership was consumed with conspiracy theories rather than evidence. I'm telling you, man, it's this thing ever gets Freedom of Information Act acted, FOIA'd, then there are going to be some tough questions asked, one agent wrote, and a great deal of those will be related to Brian having a scope way outside the boundaries of logic. Redacted is one of the worst offenders of this rabbit holes and conspiracy theories, an agent texted. This guy travels with that guy who put down third guy as his visa sponsor. Third guy lives near a Navy base, therefore, ... Several texts show that the order to close the criminal investigation against Flynn came as early as November 8th, 2016, the same day as the 2016 presidential election. It was later reopened in early January of 2017. We have some loose ends to tie up, and we all need to meet to discuss what to do with each case, he said. Shut down Razor, one agent texted, referring to Crossfire Razor, the FBI's internal code name for the investigation of Flynn. So glad they're closing Razor, an agent responded. The new disclosures made by DOJ also showed that the FBI used so-called national security letters, NSLs, to spy on Flynn's finances. Unlike traditional subpoenas, which require judicial review and approval before authorities can seize an innocent person's property and information, NSLs are never independently reviewed by courts. One of the agents noted in a text message that the NSLs were being used as a pretext by the FBI leadership to buy time and find dirt on Flynn after the investigation of him yielded no derogatory information. The decision to NSL finances for Razor bought him time, one agent said, nearly 2 weeks after the initial order to shut down the anti-Flynn case. It's not known to whom the agent was referring in that text. What we do expect to get from the NSL, an agent texted on December 5th, 2016, we put out traces, tripwires to community, and nothing. Bingo, said another FBI agent responded. So what's an NSL going to do? No content. This is a nightmare, an agent said. If we're working to close down the cases, I'm not sure what NSL results would do to help, one agent wrote. Exactly. That makes no sense, an agent wrote back. Whoops. The explosive new text messages also show agents believed the investigation was being run by FBI officials who were in the tank for Hillary Clinton. Doing all this election research, I think some of these guys want a Clinton presidency, one agent wrote on August 11th, shortly after the FBI opened the Crossfire hurricane investigation against Trump. In one series of texts sent but the same day as the infamous January 5th Oval Office meeting between Obama, Biden, Comey, Sally Yates, and Susan Rice, one agent admits Trump was right when he tweeted that the FBI was delaying his briefings as incoming president so they could cook up evidence against him. As the Federalist first reported last May, that January 5th meeting was key to understanding the entire anti-Trump operation run out of Obama's FBI. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday, perhaps more time needed to build a case, Trump tweeted on July 3rd. Very strange. And this was his tweet. So Razor is going to stay open, an agent wrote on January 5th. Yep, another FBI agent responded. Crimes report being drafted. The first agent wrote back. What's the word on how Obama's briefing went? One agent asked, referring to the January 5th meeting. Don't know, but people here are scrambling for info to support certain things, and it's a madhouse, an FBI agent responded. I bet it was. Jesus, an agent wrote back. Trump was right, still not put together. Why do we do this to ourselves? What is wrong with these people? A week later, the FBI agents also wrote that they suspected that the illegal leak of top-secret information about Flynn's phone calls with Russian ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak, to the news media came directly from the White House. FYI, someone leaked the Flynn calls with Kislyak to the Wall Street Journal, the agent wrote. I'm sorry to hear that, another FBI agent responded sarcastically. I'll resume my duties as chief morale officer and rectify that. Published this morning by Ignatius, an agent said, referring to the January 12th column from Washington Post writer David Ignatius that included leaked top-secret information about Flynn's calls with Kislyak. He's got to be on someone's staff, an agent wrote, presidential daily briefing staff or White House seniors. To date, not a single person has been charged with illegally leaking that information to the Washington Post as a way of damaging Flynn and the incoming Trump administration. Following a review of the federal government's investigation by U.S. Attorney Jeff Jensen, which was ordered by Attorney General William Barr, the government moved to dismiss all charges against Flynn that had been previously brought by former special counsel Robert Mueller. Documents unearthed during Jensen's review showed that before the FBI was tasked by the Obama White House in early 2017 with retargeting Flynn, the agency closed a previous investigation against him because there was no proof of any criminal wrongdoing. Jensen's review also uncovered evidence that the FBI's interview of Flynn, which later led to charges that he lied to FBI investigators, had no legal basis, and that the FBI agents who interviewed Flynn did not believe that he had lied. Contrary to claims by Mueller's office that Flynn had lied about discussing financial sanctions against Russia during post-election phone calls with Russian ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak, declassified transcripts of those conversations confirmed that Flynn spoke to Kislyak only about expulsions of Russian diplomats and that the two men never discussed financial sanctions against Russia that had previously been levied by the Obama administration. Jensen's review of Flynn's case file also revealed handwritten notes from the FBI's top counterintelligence official that admitted a primary goal of the FBI's anti-Flynn operation was to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired. Despite the overwhelming evidence that Flynn did not lie to agents, the FBI had no legal basis to interview him, that the FBI later hid exculpatory documents from Flynn's defense team. Flynn did not discuss financial sanctions during his phone call with Kislyak, and the FBI agents who interviewed Flynn did not believe he lied. Federal trial judge Emmett G. Sullivan had refused to dismiss the case against Flynn. Instead, Sullivan personally appointed a left-wing shadow prosecutor whose partners represent former DOJ official Yates to smear Flynn and attempt to continue the baseless criminal case against him. At one point last April, Sullivan even tried to order the DOJ to stop producing and publicly filing exculpatory evidence for Flynn or evidence of FBI misbehavior during its investigation of Flynn. Sullivan, who called Flynn a traitor during court proceedings and suggested that Flynn, a decorated Army combat veteran, be charged with treason, has refused to recuse himself from the case despite his obvious personal animosity toward Flynn. I'm telling you, all of this stuff, it's not surprising at all, and a lot of it we know, but to see them actually discussing these things shows how guilty they really were and how they've gotten away with it. I'll never know, and perhaps they haven't. I mean, I guess in time we'll see. I really hope they haven't gotten away with it. They don't deserve to get away with it. Let's put it that way. All right, now let's go on. And this by Charlie Kirk. He says, when Donald Trump went to the White House, his sons stopped their international business dealings. When Joe Biden went to the White House, his son started his international business dealings. Which do you think gets attacked more by the activist media? Well, we know that, don't we? Absolutely nothing Donald Trump does is okay by the media. Absolutely nothing. They find fault with everything he does. Every single thing. So let's look at this, shall we? I know, it's more Pelosi. She looks really different here, if you ask me. I don't know what she's done to herself, but she just looks a heck of a lot younger. Maybe she got her special potion there that she drinks. I don't know. Pelosi, why bother holding a presidential debate? Trump isn't committed to our Constitution. She's losing it. She's losing it, and the reason she's losing it is because I think these guys, I think their sphincters are permanently like, because seriously, they've got to be having babies, cows, kittens, whatever, because my gosh, you know, when she can't come right out and say, well, we don't want to have this debate because if Biden debates Trump, I mean, Trump's going to mop the floor with him. Literally mop the floor with him. But they don't want to say that, so they blame it on Trump, right? Why bother holding a presidential debate? With many criticizing 2020 Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden of hiding in his basement for the majority of his campaign, presidential debates seemingly would be a good way for the former vice president to refute claims of a decline in mental cognizance and that he's pushing a socialist agenda, which he clearly is. During Friday interview on CBS This Morning, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi doubled down on saying Biden should not debate President Donald Trump. Pelosi argued that Trump had no fidelity to fact or truth and isn't committed to our Constitution. Thus, she asked, why bother holding a debate with him? Well, you could say the same thing with Biden because nothing he says is true. I mean, everything he says is lies, out and out lies against Trump, and yet he's never called on them. He's never called on them. So, yeah. Anyway, host Gayle King asked, you had earlier suggested that you didn't think Biden should debate. Do you still feel that way? I do, Pelosi replied. Not that I don't think he'll be excellent. Yeah. I just think that the president has no fidelity to fact or truth, and actually, in his comments the last few days, no fidelity to the Constitution of the United States. He and his henchmen are a danger with their comments, are a danger to our democracy. So I didn't want to give him, why bother? He doesn't tell the truth. He isn't committed to our Constitution. King pushed back against Pelosi, referring to Trump supporters as henchmen, suggesting it could be just as insulting as the things he says about her. Your language to some is just as egregious as what they're saying by calling president's people henchmen. You could say that that's just as insulting as what he's saying about you, King advised. Pelosi responded, well, I don't care what he says about me. Every knock from him is a boost for me. If he wants to help me raise money, he can keep knocking me, but I'm speaking truth. Our Constitution is at the mercy of the people who have no allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. These guys are just throwing this stuff out there to see what'll stick. Because, you know what, people will hear her and just think, oh, she must be telling the truth. They do. Yeah, really. People are just, they're wiped out these days with the virus and everything that's happening and financial issues and just worldwide tumultuous. Everything is tumultuous the world over. And they turn on the news at night and they're dog tired and they see the news and they don't have time to think about whether it's true or not. They just say, oh, it's CNN, must be true. Or, CBC, must be true. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on now. And this is very interesting. From the New York Post, duo allegedly planned terror attacks targeting Trump Tower and other sites. So, yeah, and this is from today. Federal agents have arrested, never mind. Let's just read what it says here. 2 men plotted terror attacks on high-profile U.S. targets, including Trump Tower and New York Stock Exchange, where they claimed the destruction would be Netflix-worthy and earn them rock star status, federal authorities said. Christopher Sean Matthews of Elgin, South Carolina, is accused of conspiring with other ISIS supporters over a period of months, including a Texas man named Jalen Christopher Molina, according to a 14-page criminal complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas in San Antonio. Boy, I was running out of breath there. That was a long sentence. The pair, who were arrested Monday, discussed several possible sites for U.S. terror attacks, and Matthews suggested to hit government centers rather than places like malls where innocent children are, court documents show. We need to stick together. We need to defeat them. We need to take a lot of casualties, a lot of numbers, Molina allegedly wrote in a secretive chat group where FBI investigators said they pledged their loyalty to ISIS. Matthews then suggested in late May that the pair target state and social security buildings as well as the stock market or Trump Tower in New York or the White House by shooting it from the outside, court documents show. As few as 4 individuals could be enough to carry out the attacks, Molina replied, although he suggested any such operation should have up to 8 accomplices, the complaint states. If they accomplish the mission, Matthews said, the attacks would grant them rock star status, baby, the document shows. This could be Netflix worthy, Matthews allegedly wrote in the chat group, court papers show. The pair also discussed possible attacks at the headquarters of the CIA, the FBI, and the Drug Enforcement Administration, according to the complaint. I would hit places like that to send a message, Matthews allegedly wrote, while advising that a team of operatives be in place. In my opinion, if you ever want to do some damage and make a statement, I would have a team. Have a 3 to 4 man team and everyone spreads out. It hits different sides, then boom, engulfs them. The FBI used undercover agents and confidential sources to track down the pair who are accused of conspiring to provide material support or resources to a designated foreign terrorist organization, court documents show. If convicted, they face up to 20 years in prison, a $250,000 fine, and a lifetime of supervised release. Molina, who referred to himself as Abdur-Rahim, was arrested by the FBI in San Antonio. He's expected to appear in federal court in San Antonio early next week, KSAT reports. Matthews, who was arrested in Tennessee, referred to himself as Ali Jibril and used an encrypted messaging app last year to try and find an ISIS facilitator outside the United States to help him travel to Syria and recruit additional members, according to the complaint. Both Molina and Matthews pledged allegiance to ISIS and discussed traveling to Syria to fight for the terror group, the complaint states. Molina also joined the same encrypted chat sometime in April and posted manuals on how to train with an AK-47 and how to build a bomb, federal authorities allege. Molina of Cost, Texas, also posted an extremely graphic photo collage on social media of an American citizen being killed by ISIS, according to the complaint. The pair allegedly wrote as recently as early August that they use a multi-wave strategy to carry out terror attacks, court documents show. Molina also described attacking communication centers and planned to fortify a town barrier and establish the first bases or establish a headquarters, the complaint reads. So, Molina was also in contact in late August with a woman from an unidentified European nation who sought bomb-making instructions, authorities allege. Let it be clear, I am against America, Molina allegedly posted in an online chat in early May. America is my enemy. Now, that we can just thank God that these guys were caught, because they were serious. And one of the targets was Trump Tower. Another target was the White House. So yeah, this is good news that they have been caught, and I hope they enjoy their time in prison. All right, well, let's go back now. And yeah, let's come down here. Well, you know what? I'm going to click on this first because this has me just kind of going like, what? Really? What? Just like that. What? I was questioning that. As soon as I saw that, I went, what? I'm just going to wait and see how you react. See if you go, what? All right. Meghan Markle reportedly has serious ambitions to run for president. This is from today. It's hot and fresh. Yeah. Meghan Markle harbors serious ambitions to run for president of the United States, according to a report. Well, good luck with that. Yeah, good luck with that. What? Anyway, after the Duchess of Sussex and husband Prince Harry dumped royal duties with their historic Megxit, this year, the 39-year-old former Suits star now has her eye on the White House, a close friend told Vanity Fair. So let me see. She was an actress in Hollywood, and I guess now she's qualified to be president of the United States. Yeah. What? Seriously, like, what is she thinking? Does she have like an over whatever, what do you call that? Where you have like, you're like a megalomaniac because you think that you have so much more power and that you're so much more important than you actually are. Yeah, you think, these people, they hate on President Trump, and yet as a businessman, he's done more for this country than anyone previously. And then you have Meghan Markle, who wants to dress up and be pretty and play president. Yeah. Is my hair all right? Really, is it? My makeup? Is it okay? Okay, I'm close. I'm ready for my close-up. Yeah, that is Meghan Markle as president. Yeah. Do you imagine President Markle? No, I can't either. Anyway, one of the reasons she was so keen to not give up her American citizenship was so she had the option to go into politics, the unidentified friend told the mag. I think if Meghan and Harry ever gave up their titles, she would seriously consider running for president, the friend added, of rumors of a 2024 run. You gotta be kidding me. 2024? No. One of Trump's sons would have a much, much better chance. Actually, Trump's daughter would have a much, much better chance. Anybody in the United States would have a better chance than Meghan Markle. Right. I'm just saying. Her biographer, Omid Scobie, has previously claimed that the former actress has her eyes set on the U.S. presidency. Well, keep eyeing that presidency, Meghan, because that's the closest you'll get to it. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Meghan is the embodiment of the American dream. Right. Sure. One day we may see Meghan become president. The author, well, someday we may see pigs flying. I don't know. Someday we might see, I don't know. We might see them bring back pterodactyls. I don't know. It's possible. It's more possible than her becoming president. So, yeah, apparently she's the embodiment of the American dream. I don't think so. But anyway, she thinks she is. One day we may see Meghan become president, the author of Finding Freedom, Harry, Meghan, and the Making of a Modern Royal Family, previously told a documentary. Vanity Fair said Harry and Meghan already sparked scandal with a video urging people to vote that heavily hinted that she was against President Trump. Well, we don't care. We don't care if you're against President Trump because we don't think you matter. I'm just saying. Despite the long-standing practice for royals to remain politically neutral. Yeah, did you hear that, Meghan? Long-standing practice. Royals remain politically neutral. Did you not get the memo? Somebody send her the memo. She reportedly has been cold calling Americans, urging them to vote. Well, goody for her. Buckingham Palace distanced itself from the scandal, well, rightfully so, insisting the comments were in a personal capacity and stressing that the pair were no longer working royals, while Trump said he was not a fan of hers. I wish a lot of luck to Harry because he's going to need it, Trump said at the White House on Wednesday. I love that guy. Meanwhile, some royal watchers are already writing off her chances ever surviving a brutal presidential election race. I would state categorically that she has no chance of ever running for president. She would be eaten alive. Andrew Morton, author of Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, told Vanity Fair, "You need the skin of a rhino to run for office, especially in America, which is an utterly polarized nation. Look at what happened to Hillary Clinton, and she has lived and breathed high-octane politics since college. Americans don't want lectures from Brits, royal blood or not, just as we don't want lectures from well-meaning Americans." Yeah, you can say that again and again and again. All right, let's go back here. All righty, I'm going to move down here. Joe Biden was in office for 47 years. 47 years, that's right, I said 47. And never declared the KKK a terrorist organization, even when he was the VP of the first black president. Donald Trump just did. Which one do you think the media will still call a racist? Yeah, we know which one. All right, and this, I am not going to go too much into detail. This upset me so badly today, and I still haven't gotten over it. I'm one of those people that if I see, a dog or cat that's been run over on the road, or if I hear about cruelty to an animal, it really affects me big time, and this really affected me. So I'm not, no pictures, anything like that, but this guy needs to be sent away for a long time. So you see this guy, and again, I'm not going to show this all, but this guy's riding down the highway on a horse, and the horse, well, they're not even sure if the horse is going to survive. It's under, veterinary care right now, but he forced this horse. He ran it too hard, way too hard. He was whipping it. The horse was bleeding excessively by the time they finished it, and somebody got a hold of that horse. Taking a horse for a ride out on a highway, they're not meant to be galloping on cement. So his hooves were bleeding afterwards, and the horse is so crippled, he will never be able to be ridden again. But I hope they don't put the horse down, because it's not the horse's fault. So this guy, he's the man appointed by Mayor Lightfoot, Beetlejuice, to be Chicago's census cowboy. And he is a former pimp. Yeah, this guy's been in trouble with the law a lot. So he pulls this stunt. A man appointed by Mayor Lightfoot to be Chicago's census cowboy rode his horse until it bled to draw attention to a social justice cause. It didn't have proper shoes for pavement and suffered extensive damage galloping for miles. And it says it will be put down, but the last time that I've got an update about this, the horse has been given chiropractic care, and they're not sure yet. But as far as I know, the horse has not been put down. But it's so upsetting to me, this story. And why? Why would they do that? And really, he was, from what I understand, I think they got control of the horse at the end and got the horse away from him and got it proper medical care, which is wonderful. But this is unbelievable why anyone would do that to an animal. And they said they could tell the animal was distressed. It had been running and running. It was very distressed. It was bleeding. I just can't imagine how anyone would do that and be proud about it. It's sickening. So anyway, I haven't looked for pictures or anything because I don't want to see them. So I'm sorry, but I can, things like this involving animals, I can only report what I myself can stomach to bring to you. And it's not much. I don't have very much tolerance for harming children or animals. Okay, let's go back now and let's look at this. This is insanity. Remind me again why we closed our schools, railroaded our kids' education, canceled all our kids' sports, etc. Are you pissed yet? No, I'm just reading what's there. COVID survival rate, If you are 0 to 19 years of age, your survival rate is 99.997. If you are 20 to 49 years of age, your survival rate is 99.98. If you are 50 to 69 years of age, your survival rate is 99.5%. If you are over 70 years, that is when you need to be concerned because the survival rate is 94.6, but there's still more of a chance the older you are. So there you go. All right. So yeah, puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Now, I missed this one, and I think we should hit on this. Definitely. Biden sits in his basement as Trump crisscrosses the country, works 6 a.m. to midnight. I've never seen a harder working man than Trump. I really haven't. I really have not. This man works non-stop. He really does. And it makes me so irate when people say negative things about him going out golfing. He golfs at his own clubs. It's not costing anyone any money. The Secret Service men, they're paid whether they're still paid no matter what. So if they go with him golfing, it's not costing more money than if he didn't go golfing. It just makes me angry, but because this man works hard, really hard. So Joe Biden's campaign strategy is simple. Sit in his Wilmington, Delaware basement and try not to say anything stupid. Of course, it's not working, but he's trying it anyway. Since his August 11th selection of California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate, Biden has had 22 days where he either didn't make public appearances, held only virtual fundraisers, or ventured from his Delaware home solely for church, according to an Associated Press analysis of his schedules. Fox News reported he made 12 visits outside of Delaware during the period, including a trip to Washington scheduled for Friday to pay respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Of course, he made that trip. He's always happy to politicize the death of a Supreme Court justice. During the same time, President Donald Trump had 24 trips that took him to 17 different states, not counting a personal visit to New York to see his ailing brother in the hospital or weekend golf outings. Fox reported on Thursday Biden called a lid for the week. That means reporters can't expect to see him during that time. On Tuesday at 9:22, reporters covering the Joe Biden campaign were told that there would be no more events or newsmaking to issue forth from Team Biden for the rest of the day. The same thing happened on Saturday at 8:35 on September 19th. Team Biden put a lid on that campaign day. In fact, the lid has come down before noon no less than 8 times this month. That would be 36% of the campaign days in a month of September in which the Biden campaign has canceled its activities before lunchtime. Well, I guess he has to have a nap after he eats, Trump, meanwhile, is going like gangbusters. Here's Trump's official schedule for Friday. 11 a.m., the president participates in a Latinos for Trump roundtable, Doral, Florida, pre-credentialed media. And at 12:05 p.m., the president departs Doral, Florida, en route to Miami, Florida. Doral, Florida, out of town travel pool. 12:15 p.m., the president arrives at Miami International Airport. Miami, Florida, pre-credentialed media. 12:25 p.m., the president departs Miami, Florida, en route to Atlanta, Georgia. Out of town travel pool. 2 p.m., the president arrives at Dobbins Air Reserve Base, Atlanta, Georgia, pre-credentialed media. 2:10, the president departs Dobbins Air Reserve Base en route to Cobb Galleria Center, Atlanta, Georgia, out of town travel pool. 2:20, the president arrives at Cobb Galleria. 2:40, the president delivers remarks on Black economic empowerment, the Platinum Plan, Atlanta, Georgia. 3:45, the president departs Cobb Galleria Center en route to Dobbins Air Force Reserve Base, Atlanta, Georgia. 3:55, the president arrives at Dobbins Air Reserve Base. 4:05, the president departs Atlanta, Georgia en route to Washington, D.C. 5:35, president arrives at Joint Base Andrews. That's a full day. 5:45, the president departs Joint Base Andrews en route to Trump International Hotel, Washington, D.C. 6:10, the president arrives at Trump International Hotel, Washington, D.C. 6:45, the president participates in a roundtable with supporters. 7:35, the president departs Trump International Hotel, Washington, D.C. en route to Joint Base Andrews. Wow. 7:55, the president arrives at Joint Base Andrews. 8:05, the president departs Washington, D.C. en route to Newport News, Virginia. Wow. 8:50, the president arrives at Newport News, Williamsburg International Airport. 9 o'clock, the president delivers remark at Make America Great Again event. Wow. 10:30, the president departs Newport News, Virginia, en route to Washington. 11:20, the president departs Joint Base Andrews en route to the White House. Wow. And what time did his day start? Was it 6 a.m.? Trying to find the first one. 11 a.m. That's his first, and he goes all the way till midnight. That's a hardworking man. A very hardworking man. So let's come down here further and see if we've missed anything. He's a busy guy, that's for sure. So, yeah, that's it. So I guess it was just showing you the huge difference in the schedule of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, do you think Joe Biden can handle being president? I mean, physically handle it. I'm not even talking about cognitively. He cannot physically handle that. There's no way. But the Democrats seem to think he can. I don't know. I don't really know if they think he can or not. Let's see where we are here. And we are at 51. Oh, gosh. And we've got so much more to do here, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm up to a second one or not. We'll have to see here. All right, so I'm going to get this one so I can be sure I didn't miss anything up there. Texas, Gregg County Commissioner and 3 others arrested in connection to organized ballot harvesting scheme during 2018 Democrat primary. Now, this is from yesterday, but I'm seeing this in the news more and more about election fraud or ballot harvesting or ballots being found somewhere that just happened to be cast for Donald Trump. Seeing this a lot. And these are the 4. Texas Gregg County Commissioner Shannon Brown, Marlena Jackson, Charlie Burns, and Dwayne Ward were arrested on charges in connection with an organized ballot harvesting scheme during the 2018 Democratic primary. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced on Thursday a $25,000 bond has been set for each person charged. Election officials became suspicious after Shannon Brown won the primary in March of 2018 by 5 votes after a recount. As usual, a number of mail-in ballots were cast in the 2018 primary race for Precinct 4 Commissioner in Gregg County. According to Gregg County Elections Administrator Catherine Neely, 231 out of the 800 mail-in ballots that swung the election bore the signatures of the 5 same people who helped voters with their ballots. Furthermore, a third of the voters claimed that they had a disability in order to qualify for absentee or mail-in voting. The vote harvesting scheme worked, and Brown actually won. Yeah. Under Texas election law, mail-in ballots are strictly reserved for people over the age of 65 or for those who are physically ill and cannot vote in person. To increase the pool of ballots needed to swing the race in Brown's favor, the group targeted young, able-bodied voters to cast ballots by mail by fraudulently claiming the voters were disabled, in most cases without the voters' knowledge or consent, Ken Paxton said. In total, the state filed 134 felony charges against the 4 defendants, including engaging in organized election fraud, illegal voting, fraudulent use of an application for a mail-in ballot, unlawful possession of a mail-in ballot, tampering with a governmental record, and election fraud. Penalties for these offenses range from 6 months in state jail to 99 years in prison, Paxton office announced. Here's a breakdown of charges, and we're not going to get into the breakdown of charges. I just wanted to let you know that just for your own knowledge. And let's come down here. Now I'm going to have to start picking and choosing what we cover. Of course, we will get to all of these, but let me say, let's look at this again. You know, Pelosi. Pelosi makes no sense. Well, it's true. Trump is trying to have the Constitution of the United States swallow Clorox. What? Seriously? Yeah. I get it. The April media briefing where President Donald Trump mused about using disinfectant to fight the coronavirus, often inaccurately portrayed by the left as his urging Americans to inject themselves with disinfectant or drink bleach, is a moment the Democrats want to hold on to. At some point, however, given the rapidity with which the news cycle refreshes, you have to pull an Elsa and let it go. The ideal point was long before Thursday, but here we are. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi decided to use the metaphor at her weekly news conference. Yeah. At issue was Trump's answer regarding whether he'd commit to accepting the election results and the concomitant transfer of power, saying we're going to have to see what happens, and expressing concerns about mail-in voting. President Trump is asked if he will commit to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. We're going to have to see what happens, he says. Anyone with a passing familiarity with how the Constitution works knows this is a leading, non-substantive question designed to get a clip for the evening news. Whether Trump accepts the results, win, lose, or draw, as a reporter put it, has no bearing on whether he'll remain in the Oval Office. Say what you will about his answer, it was an invitation for Democrats to trip over themselves in their response to it. Either Pelosi, who told reporters at her news conference that it was really sad you have to ask that question, and it was stunning how complicit Republicans were. We know who he admires: Russian President Vladimir Putin, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. I can never pronounce his name. She said, you are not in Russia. He is not in North Korea. He is not in Turkey. He's trying to have the Constitution of the United States swallow Clorox. I don't know why the press doesn't make more of this, to be honest with you, Pelosi continued. If he says to people swallow Clorox, we hear about it for the rest of our lives, but he's trying to have the Constitution of the United States swallow Clorox. I appreciate these questions that all of you have this morning, I guess provoked by the arrogance and disregard for the Constitution of the President's statement last night. He is trying to have the Constitution of the United States swallow Clorox. I'd like to see that. I don't know about you, but I kind of want to see that. Oh, let's listen to her.
Madam Speaker, do you have a contingency plan for after the election if the president does not, recognize, say, a Biden victory and goes to the courts to try?
Dear Lord, she's playing with her dentures again. And look at how, her eyes are glassy. Very glassy. I'm just pointing that out.
Madam Speaker, do you have a contingency plan for after the election if the president does not, recognize, say, a Biden victory and goes to the courts to try to contest the election? Have you talked about impeachment? Would you impeach him again? What can Congress do if he were to do something like that?
I have a pretty good idea of the method of his madness and what he might try to do to undermine the Constitution. It always is stunning to me to see how complicit and enabling the Republicans are of such a thing. I was pleased that Leader McConnell put out a statement this morning that seemed to go in the direction of protecting the Constitution of the United States. That was a real change. But let me just say that there are three stages to elections. One, everything that happens before. And you see what he's trying to do: dismantle the post office, discredit mail-in voting, all the kinds of things that they're doing, Russian involvement in our elections and the rest, all the things they're trying to do to undermine the integrity of our election. Then there is a vote, and now at least 20 states right now are voting. So we're in this area where for some it's still pre-vote time, and for others the election is on. And again, We want people to be able to vote without jeopardizing their health. And that's why we want to have
I'm going to jump ahead here.
the right to vote does not seem to be a vote. And to stop the president's, he even said it, that you had people there, the intimidation of the voter. I don't know why the press doesn't make more of this, to be very honest with you. I mean, if he says that people swallow Clorox and we hear about it for the rest of our lives, but he's trying to have the Constitution of the United States swallow Clorox. And I appreciate these questions that all of you have this morning, and I guess provoked by the arrogance and the disregard for the Constitution with the President's statement last night. So I have a pretty good idea of every step of the way of the danger.
You have a pretty good idea of nothing.
In our elections end. And then he'll try to say, well, I won because I won the votes that turned out that day, but by mail doesn't count, really. And there are more elections on the ballot than just his. I'm sure some of these Republicans who win with absentee ballots have a different view, as they have said. And then we'll just have to make sure the integrity of the Electoral College is retained. That is to say, if, as with most elections, we have a lot of lawyers at work.
Okay, well, I've had enough of her. I don't know about you, but I've had just about all I can take of her. Okay, now let me see. Oh, yes, this is important for today. Yes, it is. Yeah, flashback video. Joe Biden calls U.S. troops, "you stupid bastards," during 2016 speech. Oh, you don't say. Because didn't he give President Trump such a hard time for saying things which actually President Trump never said? Far-left journalist Jeffrey Goldberg posted a ridiculous hit piece on President Trump on Thursday in The Atlantic. The hit piece comes as President Trump continues to surge in the polls following the RNC convention and continued leftist riots across the country. In the garbage report, Goldberg used anonymous sources to accuse President Trump of disparaging U.S. veterans and war heroes. That was an ugly piece. One attack on President Trump for not attending a World War I cemetery in France was debunked years ago by the White House, but Goldberg decided to run with the smear anyway. President Trump addressed the smears in early September when returning from another massive campaign event in Pennsylvania. President Trump denied the ridiculous report, saying the report was unthinkable. The report was thoroughly debunked by White House officials, including disgruntled former National Security Advisor John Bolton. But this hasn't stopped Joe Biden from using the debunked report to attack President Trump and his support for the troops. But now there is a video from 2016 of Joe Biden actually calling U.S. troops, "you stupid bastards," to their face during a speech. This was back when Joe Biden could form a complete sentence. Newly resurfaced video shows Joe Biden calling our service members stupid bastards. Where is the media outrage? Yeah, I'd like to know that too. So let's give a listen here. 1,
I married Jill. And 2, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Just clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Yeah, that's not so nice to say that. So there you go. Yeah. But, you know, that's never going to make it to the mainstream news. We know that, right? We know that. Because now, if it was Trump that said something like that, can you imagine? Oh, I don't. They would have him drawn and quartered. Okay. Let me see. Oh, we've got lots of stuff to look at here, and some of this I'm going to have to wait and bring tomorrow. I have been pacing myself because I've been having some issues. So anyway, but I am well on my way to being 100% new. 100% new. You know what I meant. Back to normal anyway. Not new, just normal. Well, I've never been normal, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right, let's just see. I've got to cover at least, let me see, where are we? We're at 104. I think I could cover one or two, at least one. I don't know. Let's just pick one. Pick one, anyone. Well, that one is gone already. This tweet violated the Twitter rules. Well, the Twitter gods have spoken, and they have deemed that tweet is unable to be seen by, because we're infants and we need a babysitter, I guess. I should be wearing a mask. I hope I haven't infected anyone. I'm kidding, of course. All right. Well, that was a no-go. And let me see. Oh, yes. This should make you mad, even though it's in Australia. This is unbelievable. Australian state law empowers officials to forcibly remove underwear to administer vaccine. Forcibly. Law enforcement has the legal power to remove anything, including underwear, that the relevant person is wearing if it's determined that the person must be vaccinated. That is absolutely chilling. Chilling. Sounds like they're going to do it against your will. LifeSite News recently became aware of the legislation and is in communication with a number of residents of Western Australia who, until recently, were unaware of the extraordinary powers granted to the government in state law. This so-called reasonable force includes the powers to A. apprehend and detain the person whom the direction applies, the relevant person, and take the relevant person to a place where the person is required to undergo medical observation, medical examination, or medical treatment, or to be vaccinated in accordance with the direction, and to detain the relevant person at the place where he or she is required to undergo medical observation, medical examination, or medical treatment, or to be vaccinated in accordance with the direction, and to restrain the relevant person, to enable a medical observation, medical examination, or medical treatment to be carried out, or to enable the relevant person to be vaccinated. That's against their will. That's not just people that say, yeah, please vaccinate me. No, they're being vaccinated against their will. The removal of the thing is, to remove anything, including underwear, that the relevant person is wearing, if the removal of the thing is reasonably necessary to enable a medical examination or medical treatment to be carried out, or, as the case requires, to enable the person to be vaccinated, and the relevant person is given a reasonable opportunity to remove the thing himself or herself and refuses or fails to do so. On the Western Australian government website showing original acts as passed for Western Australian legislation, the text is included in the original 2016 Public Health Act. An updated version of the Act as of September 12, 2020 is also available on the government website and includes the same text. An Australian Broadcasting Corporation fact-check article on the issue was published in June this year when some social media users first became aware of the legislation and raised the alarm online. The ABC article states that these powers are only enforceable under a public health state of emergency, as was declared in Western Australia on the 23rd of March 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Rocco Loacono, senior lecturer at the Curtin Law School in Western Australia, told LifeSite News that there is no basis for any public health emergency since there has not been any community transmission of the virus in Western Australia since early April. The government should have declared the emergency over months ago. But, of course, they will not now relinquish these newfound powers. Blair Cottrell, who describes himself as an Australian carpenter and public speaker, stated on the social media platform Gab that he believes that the reason why the government has granted officers the power to remove individuals' underwear is that doing so makes it easier to administer a vaccine to a person who is physically resisting. You might read this and wonder, why would the state want to forcibly remove your underwear to administer a vaccine? Cottrell writes, because vaccines are administered via IM, intramuscular injection, and the most practical means for forcibly injecting a person against their will would be to retain that person in a face-down position, remove that person's pants, underwear, then administer the drug in the glute region. It would be much more difficult to try to inject the drug into an alternative muscle region if the person being injected was resisting, he continued. The point being, before passing this legislation, the state really thought about the easiest way to forcibly inject someone. Think about that. Last month, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced that his government had made an agreement with the British pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca to supply Australians with their coronavirus vaccine for free, providing that the vaccine passes clinical trials. A few weeks after Morrison's statement, worldwide trials for AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine, which uses cell lines from an aborted baby, were temporarily stopped after a UK trial participant was taken ill. Shortly after announcing the agreement with AstraZeneca, Morrison first said a coronavirus vaccine will be made as mandatory as you can possibly make it, before quickly walking back the comments somewhat and saying that the vaccine is not going to be compulsory and that we can't hold someone down and make them take it. Well, apparently they can. And I don't believe anything they say. When they say that this vaccine is not going to be mandatory, I don't believe it. I don't. I just don't. But, you know, that's my opinion, and that's all that is my opinion. Now, yes, I believe that they will tell us that it's not required. But if you want to travel, if you want to get on a bus, a train, a plane, what have you, maybe even renew your driver's license. Who knows? But they're going to find a way to make it mandatory. They're not going to say it's mandatory. They're going to say, well, you don't have to take it. I mean, if you don't want to travel anywhere, if you don't want to work anywhere, if you don't want, then yeah, you can refuse it. But yeah, I don't think that that's going to be an option. That's why I really hope that President Trump is who he says he is and will get elected again, reelected. If he doesn't get reelected, we know something major is off, because there is no way that Joe Biden is ahead in the polls. Not any way. All right. Well, that is it for tonight. So I'm going to end it there. And we've been going for an hour and 11 minutes. So that's a good amount of time. And I will be back tomorrow. I really will be. I had to take last night off. I really just needed a break. So I took last night off and I feel much more refreshed now. So anyway, I will be back tomorrow with news and happenings. And well, there's always lots of that. So that's it for tonight, guys. You guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and come back and seek truth with me, because, I miss you guys when you're gone. Yeah, I do. All right, guys. Good night.